Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, aunts and uncles and cousins, of course, and mops and pops, although Joe is constantly on me about grandmothers and grandfathers
I'm
and baseball fans everywhere. Welcome to this edition of the Valley Baseball League podcast. Hey, look, I got to do a shout out to the three teams that I haven't quite got to yet. There are three teams we've talked to, almost all of them, but we had yet to talk to the Front Royal Cardinals. We tried a week or so ago to talk to the Stanton Braves coach, Tyree Bullock. We finally caught up with him recently, and Jay Neal has been so kind to do interviews with us on three different occasions, but we ran into a connection issue trying to get through to him. We will have you a Strasburg update here very shortly, but I'm going to be able to knock one of those three out of the park right here because today Joe Harmon and I are delighted to welcome one of the few women who in charge of a team in this league, Donna Settle. Donna, say hi to everybody and tell everybody how you're involved with the Front Royal Cardinals.
Hey, everybody. I am involved with the Front Row Cardinals. I like to say I help take care of the outside of the ball field, which is where I am now. I'm down here at the Bing Crosby Stadium in Front Row, Virginia, and just taking a look at things. It's the first time I've been here in a while, so
is
it's
it
different seeing it empty. That's for sure.
is it yeah, do you have a little tear? I would be down there, tearing up, being like,
Oh,
we should be seeing players on the field, and we should be watching games.
we should be. We should be. It's very empty. The pigeons have taken up roost here, so I'd love to get them out of here and get the ball players on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't we all? But so on a typical May 3rd, what would you be doing at this time getting ready for the season?
Oh, what we would be doing is trying to finalize our host families to make sure that we have the host families all set up with the players that are going to be coming in. We'd be lining up the volunteers that are going to be coming into the organization to make sure that we have all of them helping out with the different stations that we have in the stadium that we have to do to keep the ball team running. Um, the inside of the ballpark, the coach would be finalizing our player roster to know maybe who's going to make it to regional level plays and who may be making it on to the World Series perhaps. So the coaches would be following everything from that perspective and just knowing who's coming in when, and we'd be getting our uniforms all scrubbed up and ready to go, and the ballpark populated with the baseballs and getting things ready to set up the concession stand and our ticket booth and our merchandise. But
So
yeah,
you would be very, very, very busy.
we'd be very busy. Yes.
Yeah, and you, as well as everyone else involved in the Cardinals organization, roughly how many, volunteers do you have that,
Probably
part of
about
this?
25 dedicated volunteers plus the host families.
Now that's quite a
So
team.
it,
For a
it is.
community, Front Royal is a great community with a lot of community activism. I'm a big fan of the town. I live in Winchester, but I love Front Royal. Um, so that, to me, that's not surprising that you've got such great commitment from the community because you live in such a great town. But tell me, one of the things that we've not talked about in our podcast series that I think is vital to the success of the league overall is the host families.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
uh, you know, who are some that help out every year, and can we talk to them? And tell us just in a few words. I know it's going to be tough, but how important their role is.
They're extremely important. We could not have a Valley Baseball League or the Front Row Cardinals without the dedication of our host families. That's how my husband and I, Dale, actually, got into, helping out with the Front Row Cardinal organization. Is we started out with hosting players, and we really enjoyed it. We had a fantastic year. The first time that we hosted, we had two really excellent athletes that were part of the Cardinal organization, and then we just grew to really enjoy being around the club. Our two boys, Alex and Ryan, they were in Little League at the time, and they enjoyed the players as well. So we
Yeah.
kept it up.
Do you still keep in touch with the players you've hosted over the years?
We keep in touch with a lot of the players.
Great.
We've got a our we fixed up the basement, and that's where the baseball players, tend to stay. We've got several beds down there that they stay in, twin size beds, and those that have been there, anyone listening to the podcast will know that we've got a nice little set of bunk beds in the corner, and they tend to choose those first because it's a nice little dark corner in the basement, and they go there. And we tend to also have quite a few players that come back, year after year. And my husband Dale, we have what we call, a wall of fame, where anyone that comes over there has to sign the wall. So we've got quite a collection from floor to ceiling of players that have came in there and signed the wall. So it's kind of neat. I almost thought about doing the interview from there because it's kind of a neat thing, but it's not about me. It's about the organization. We have several that have been hosting for quite a number of years. Donna and Paul Muller have been hosting way longer than I have, at least 25 years. And they've done it year after year after year. We have Carolyn Mobley, who's been our host family coordinator for the last several years, and she's hosted quite a few players, and she coordinates with everyone to make sure that they have a good place to stay, and it kind of works well. And even when the coaches come to town, we put them up with host families.
Yeah, let's just dial into that a little bit.
Mhm.
Let's hit the stats, though, Donna. How many players have signed your wall? I'm just kind of curious. Give us the
Wow.
stat line on that.
There's a couple hundred down there. Yeah.
A couple hundred. And then tell me a little bit. One of the things that I'm kind of, I think people might not realize about the Valley Baseball League and the Front Row Cardinals in particular are, if I'm a player and I want to play in the league,
Mhm.
what does it cost me to come here and play? And what's provided for me?
Oh, gosh. Well, it used to cost nothing. Literally, the players would show up, and they of course had to bring their gear along. We provide the uniforms. We provide what they call bomb bats. Have all the baseballs and all the equipment. So the players, of course, have to bring their gloves and their own wooden bats that they have. But the host families, do it out of an act of kindness for the love of the game, as they say. So all the players, when they come in, they don't have to pay anything to the host families. I know at least the Cape Cod, there's a stipend, if you will, that the host families get paid, and that's because the players actually have to pay to actually stay with the host families. Our league just changed a couple years ago where they started charging a small fee, just a couple of $100s. And that basically covered the cost of the gear that they would get. So it's kind of neat when we have our reporting day, if you will. All of the players could come in, and they have to bring their medical papers, their signed information that we have to have as a league. And then we really enjoy handing out the equipment. They get two hats, they get three shirts, they get a couple pair of shorts and socks and belts and everything. So they get quite a bit of gear when they come to the Valley Baseball League and to the Cardinal organization. And from the host family perspective, the host families are just so generous. They go out of their way to make sure that the players have a nice place to stay and that they're welcome into their home. They take them out. We're not too far away from Washington D.C., right? So, and or Baltimore, Maryland. So they normally take them to baseball games. There's a lot that they try to interact with the family. Just on the other side of the wall here of the Bing Crosby Stadium is the Front Row Little League, and typically we get quite a few host families from the Front Row Little League, and all the players they tend to get involved in there. So it turns out to be a real community type affair, and I think it's a win-win situation for most host families and players that come here.
That word community, you've said it many times here, is just in talking about that. And um, just getting the uniforms and the equipment and all those connections. Do you have any really prominent community partners that you want to give a shout out to since we got you here that you want to say thanks for their?
Sure, absolutely,
Feel free,
absolutely.
please do.
Yeah, the Wines family is certainly one of the predominant contributors to the Front Row Cardinal organization. We're actually sitting here at Dave Wines Field. I don't know. I'll turn if we can see the scoreboard. I'm not too good at this. Can you see the scoreboard?
Well,
Yeah.
kind of, but yeah.
Kinda. Okay. All right. Anyway, well, the field is the David L. Wines Field. It was named after Dave Wines. He was a large community contributor to many youth organizations, but also to the Front Row Cardinals. He was involved with the Front Row Cardinals until his passing, and so was his wife Patty Wines, and and Chris and Chad Wines have been involved in the organization, as well, and they continue to have the legacy of their parents by sponsoring the first game of every Cardinal season. So this will be the first year that we're not actually able to have that first game for them. So they are certainly one of the linchpins, if you will, into the Cardinal organization,
Mhm.
both in the past and continuing on with their legacy.
Yeah, the Valley Baseball League really has, I think, four pillars for their mission. One is give these players a chance to see what it's like to play pro ball,
Hmm.
and we really do that. They're
We
going to
do.
play a lot of ball when they're here, and then really giving these players a chance to develop their skill set while they're here. Uh, I got to tell you, Donna, you blew my mind last year
Oh boy.
with your induction to the Hall of Fame. I showed up not really knowing
Oh.
what to expect at Bing Crosby Stadium. And I walk in, and who should be inducted to your Hall of Fame but Roberto Hernandez
Yes,
and Dana Allison?
that's right.
And the thing that I find so fascinating about that is that we had, here we are in Front Royal, Virginia, the canoe capital of America, and you have a guy who made his transition from catching to
Hmm.
pitching, who appeared in 11 or over 1,000 appeared in 1,000 games in the major league, and Dana
Yes.
Allison. And then you talk about just beyond the outfield fence, there's the little league. And so what you have is you have these little leaguers who are kind of in the shadows of the Valley League players, who are in the shadows of Roberto Hernandez, his
Hmm.
son who played with you last year, and Dana Allison, and they're all kind of working together to kind of perfect the game of baseball. And to me, there's that rich community, and then there's a rich community of host families. And I just don't think that people understand kind of quite how close the ties get between, the little leaguers and the college players and the pros.
Yeah, there is definitely a connection, and thanks for mentioning that. That was quite an honor to have Jose Hernandez play here, and follow his father's legacy, and then also just year after year, Dana Allison to continue to support baseball both at the high school level and also with the Cardinal organization. So it's quite a tribute to be able to have folks like that with us.
So Donna, I gotta get to the elephant in the room question. You are standing in Bing Crosby Stadium in Front Royal, Virginia, and so for
Yes.
viewers of our podcast who may not be familiar, can you give us a brief history of how you guys play in a stadium named after a famous singer?
Absolutely. So, but I'll call it back in the day. Bing Crosby made his way through here when he was actually doing a movie tour, and if I had enough time to walk to the front of the stadium, you would see that we have a placard at the over top of the concession stand where he was holding his movie debut, kind
Oh
of
yeah,
like a lot of stars do today when they kick off movies. They go and they make a tour. Well, Bing
yeah.
Crosby was making a tour through the area and also participating in some local festivities around. So he came here. He loved Warren County. He liked to contribute to the youth, so he donated some initial seed money to buy this property,
Oh,
and
okay.
he donated it to the community for the development of the youth and sports.
Wow.
So it was really nice that he did that. So the community decided to continue the tradition, so they named the stadium after him, and it's been named after him for a while. The stadium
Yeah.
didn't always exist in the form that it is today. Um, it existed, for a while when football was played here, baseball was played here, both at the midget and the little league, and then Babe Ruth played here. Some local colleges at the Christian College, they played here as well. So in the local community, they decided that they only had one high school and they needed really two. So they had Warren County High School, and then they built Skyline High School. And then rather than building two stadiums at each, what they decided to do is to renovate the Bing Crosby Stadium and invest the funds here so that the high schools can continue to play here. And we're fortunate enough to play here after their season is finished. So it all kind of works out.
Yeah. Well, I got to share with you. I don't know if you saw the podcast that we had with Ryan Fecto, who is the pitching coach from Virginia Tech and had been the head coach in the Valley Baseball League. Uh, well, and I guess the crux of this is that how great Bing Crosby Stadium is, how
Mhm.
nice of a facility it is well regarded around the league. Because Ryan was telling about how he was in the visitors clubhouse. You actually
Oh,
have a
yeah.
clubhouse
We
at Bing
sure
Crosby
do.
Stadium, and he gave his guys a rousing speech to get them going, and
Hmm.
they went out and won the game um, after that. But the high schools, the Valley Baseball League, very lucky to play in such a great facility, and I guess they owe that
Hmm.
to Bing Crosby himself, as well as the Warren County
Hmm.
Parks and Rec and the education systems and other partners in that facility.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're very fortunate. We call this, our home base. We have a locker room down on the third base side that is used as our home, and then also down on the first base side is a visitor locker room, and it's nice. It's air conditioned. It has showers. There's a training area. There's ice machine, and everyone has their own individual locker. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it's super nice, and we're very fortunate that we're able to use this facility.
Yeah, before we go, I mean, I had no idea you had air
Yeah.
conditioned clubhouse. So how nice on those hot summer days.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
and
have to get that in Winchester.
even air conditioned upstairs in the press box, and as you know, Graham, well, where we do our broadcasting.
Yeah. Hey, so it's May 3rd. If I did my math right, just to kind of take this back
Hmm.
if I did my math right, we're about a month away, what would have been the 2020 Front Royal Cardinals Hall of Fame inductions. Who was on the list for this year, or can you not tell me?
Well, it's definitely a well kept secret. We have a few. We're very fortunate to have several coaches that have coached here or played here in the past. So we have some of those that are coaching at the collegiate level that was on our list. We have some that made it to the major league, and we have some that have just done an outstanding job in the community. So they are definitely on our list, and we look forward to inducting them next year.
Well, so I won't press you for any names, but let me press you for a few greats that may have come out of Front Royal,
Sure.
besides like a Roberto Hernandez or a Dana Allison. And I'm thinking part of what brings this up is we recently spent some time with Mark Pfeiffer from Covington,
Okay.
and he was telling us about Carlos Guerrera, who
Hmm.
found his screwball at the Lumberjacks while messing around one day, and he talks about names like Jason Kipnis and others.
Hmm.
I'm just curious, when people think of the Front Royal Cardinals, what names should come to mind of players who started there and went on?
Well, one of the most recent ones that folks should know about is Randy Dobnock. Randy Dobnock went to Anderson Broadus College, which is in West Virginia, and then he played here with the Front Row Cardinals as a pitcher. And then he didn't get drafted. He went on to independent ball, and then actually got picked up by the Twins. So anyone that's been following along social media, either from the Front Row Cardinals or the Valley Baseball League, will know that Randy Dobnock was a pitcher that the Twins brought up from one of the minor leagues and made his way all the way up to the major leagues. And then they, of course, played in the World Series. And Randy was made his start against the Yankees. this past
Yeah.
year. So
Right.
yeah, so
So
he's one of the most recent notable ones, and then yeah, we have definitely have several others.
I bet. Well, Donna, before we wrap up and let you go, I got to ask, who were you looking forward to hosting as players this season? What was your outlook like for the line for the roster and your prospects? And then how does that change the way 2021 is going to shape up for you?
Well, first of all, from the host family perspective, I like to have a variety of position players that end up staying at our house. I typically let my husband pick so that he has a more
Do you do you
hands-on
have like a draft
relationship.
day? Do you have like a draft day? Like, all right, here's the roster teams. Who are we going to pick to stay at our house?
Yeah, it kind of turns out to be a little like that. I show my husband Dale the list. I'm like, hey, you know, he's got a few schools and a few position players that he normally likes to have stay at the house. So he tends to look at that. Sometimes, some players, maybe don't have as sometimes I don't know how to say this. They maybe need to be fed a little bit better than others.
Okay.
So we tend to keep the refrigerator well stocked. So we like to make sure that the guys are well taken care of if they have a greater need than some of the others. So
Yeah.
we sometimes do that.
Oh.
And yeah, so that's what we do there from the host family perspective at our house.
So what were your prospects for the season for 2020? What did you like your chances?
I think our chances were very good. We were bringing our coach back that was with us the prior season. So Coach Tony Hurla, he's from the Midwest around the
Hmm.
Kansas City area, and he had recruited a very good roster. So we were excited with the prospects that were coming this year.
Well, good.
And I'll just say that Coach Tony is going to be coming back with us this year or the following year. So
Okay.
he's
You heard it here
he's
first, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, you heard it here. He is excited. We're excited to have him. He's a class act. He definitely portrays himself, very well on the field, off the field. Has a great rapport with all of the athletes that he brings in to try to make sure that they're meeting their goals and working to make sure that that happens.
Yeah. Hey, before we move too far away, Landon Coleman used to be one of the coaches, managers here in
Mhm.
Winchester, and Landon was always saying that it was the host families that really made this league work. Without them, this league wouldn't be possible. Donna, for people who don't know or who are interested in it, I do want to give a shout out. We've hosted baseball players in the past. We're going to do more in the future. You get a chance to form these lifelong bonds with some really amazing players. You may run through a fair bit of food while they're here, but they're not as high maintenance. I mean, let me just say for anybody considering a host family, the player kind of works the swing shift. They're going to get up late,
That's right.
10 or 11. A lot of times they're out the door early in the morning. They're
Mhm.
going to go work out. They're going to go to the ball field around 4, and they're going to be playing all day. They get home sometime around midnight or 2, might
Right.
need a little time to unwind. Where would, if I'm watching this and I'm thinking, gee, it might be fun to host a baseball player in the Shenandoah Valley, how can I get involved? What's the best way to do that?
Well, the best way to do that is to go to the either URL, if you will, or to the website of the local club and see if they have a host family coordinator. If they do, they're going to have their email and phone number, and just reach out to them, and they'll be happy to let you know what is entailing. One of the things that the Front Row Cardinals has is we have a handbook for all of the players and for the host family. So we like to make sure that everyone understands the code of the conduct, what to expect, and to make sure that everyone is fully engaged. So again, first thing is to reach out to the host family coordinator. If not, reach out to the team president and they'll point you in the right direction. That's definitely what you do. But again, we like to make sure that everyone knows what to expect and what they're getting themselves into. We have the handbook. It kind of lays things out. We have our host family coordinator, work with them. And then the first thing that we do is we make sure that the player and the host family sits down together and goes over that. And then they just know, for example, where do I park my car? What are my kitchen privileges? How do I use your washer to wash my clothes, for example? Where do I leave my shoes? Do am I allowed to have them in the house? And those kinds of things. So it's one of the things that we go through, and I believe most of the other teams do as well. And it works out extremely well.
All right. Well, Donna, I can't say thank you enough for joining us today. This has been a really fun conversation. I've certainly learned a lot, and I love the story about Bing Crosby and the stadium. Hearing about the host families, great stuff. And I guess my last thought from me is, what do you have that you want to say to Front Royal Cardinal fans, the Front Royal community, as we go through this pandemic and the shutdowns and missing baseball? What words of encouragement do you have?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, this is going to be a very different season for us this year. And it's going to be a different season for the fans. I hope they all, stay engaged with baseball as much as is offered to them, and that they stay safe during this time. We plan to be back with the Front Row Cardinals here at the Bing Crosby Stadium next year. And we look forward to bringing some great baseball to the community and just to have some good old fashioned fun. So, we,
Here.
hope everyone stays safe and look forward to seeing everyone in 2021.
And if you want to stay engaged with baseball, please tune into our daily podcasts here on the Valley Baseball League YouTube channel, where Graham will be posting the 42 best games of 2019.
All right. Well, and speaking of which, staying engaged on the Valley Baseball League YouTube site, we do have the full interview we had with Roberto Hernandez when he was inducted into the Valley Baseball League, the Front Royal Cardinals Hall of Fame, as well as an interview with Dana Allison. If you're a player interested in playing in this league, or you're a parent thinking about getting your son involved in this league, go check it out. They were great interviews, super nice guys. It was absolutely wonderful to have them out there. And Donna, you almost stole my line. I love that you were going to say that, because on behalf of the Valley Baseball League and all the teams in this league, we are constantly wishing everyone perfect health, and we are constantly wishing everyone a speedy return to the baseball diamond. Baseball will return, and we will all be back very, very soon. Just a programming note: recently saw a post on Facebook by Marsha. That's not really her name. She's just Marsha. But we'll be bringing you an interview with Marsha in the very near future, talking to Donna here and seeing the empty seats in the behind her there. Marsha recently wrote a post about keeping score for baseball. She loves keeping score, and she was on a walk past Wrigley Field, and she wrote this long, heartfelt piece, which we'll share with you in a future podcast. One of her friends read the piece, and she said that she walked by Wrigley Field and started crying. And she didn't even like baseball. And here she's outside Wrigley Field crying. So we're going to put the tears away. We're going to embrace the seasons that have come before this one. And we will all look forward to a season that will return in the not too distant future. Until then, on behalf of the team and all the teams in this league and the league itself, my name is Graham Knight. Glad you joined us. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. right here on the Valley Baseball League's YouTube channel. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.